All right, welcome to the Sweet Talk. Today is Monday, January 11th, 2021, and I am your host, Kim Matina, and I am a technology teacher as well as a Google certified trainer and educator. And today I am so happy to have on the show another fellow educator from New Jersey, my buddy, Mr. Mike Marotta. He comes to us from up north, right? You're up North Jersey.
I would call it Central Jersey, but we'll have to have a whole separate show to talk
Oh,
about
this is
that.
true.
Yeah,
That's true. You're north of me. Let's just put it that
I'm
way.
north of you. I'll agree
You're north
there.
of me. So Mike, he brings to the table so much experience, especially with assistive technology. He is an inclusive technology consultant, the director of the Richard West Assistive Technology Advocacy Center, and he's an adjunct professor at the Ramapo College of New Jersey, and he serves on the CAST Accessible Educational Materials Advisory Board, and he's also the co-moderator of a weekly AT chat, Twitter chat. So I'm so glad to have you on today. It's such a pleasure to always connect with you and learn from you. When we connected last time on Gag, I was like blown away with everything. So I was like, you got to come on the Sweet Talk and you got to share. And I'm so thankful that you did. So welcome to the Sweet Talk, Mike.
Thank you, Kim. It's always a pleasure. And you know me, I'm so shy. I really had to have my arm twisted to come and just talk somewhere.
Not
So yes,
you.
happy to be here. Looking forward to it.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to dive right into the content because I know you have a lot to go over.
I do. I was telling Kim, I actually wrote things down to remind myself. Look, I'll give you guys a little peek at my cheat sheet just to remind myself to talk about things as we went. So like Kim said, I'm an assistive technology specialist. I wear a lot of hats. I am an independent consultant. In New Jersey, my work I do revolves around our Assistive Technology Center, which is statewide and provides support to people across New Jersey who need assistive technology, showing them what's available, talking how it might meet their needs, and then helping them figure out how to get it. And that's people of all ages, all disability types, all environments. So I know a lot of what we're going to talk about is school-based, but I also do the kind of the broader sense as well. And you know, I like you said, we have these conversations every once in a while, and I love it because I could talk about this kind of accessible, inclusive technology all day long. I'm thrilled to talk about it.
Yeah, I know it's your passion, and what I love about what you show is that it can be for anyone. I know, we're going to talk about, classroom and education and K-12 classrooms and accommodations that way, but it can be used for, adults as well. So this is good for anyone who has any type of, classification or anything. So I'm glad that you're going to take the time to share because it's going to definitely be helpful. So why don't we just dive right into it? Because I know once you get going, I know how Mike is.
Kim was very specific. She's like, we like to keep this to about 30 or 35 minutes. And all right, I'm going to really keep on that. And I like what you said too, Kim. It's that idea. And tonight, actually, I'm only going to show things that are free. There's not a single thing I'm going to show that costs money. I think every single thing I'm going to talk about is built into the Chromebook. So it's not even adding extra things in. And I think those are really important. Whether it's Chromebooks or your iPhone or your iPad or your computer, whatever it might be, my first statement to people always is, look at what's built into it. These manufacturers have done a really nice job of building out the features that are built into your devices so you can do a lot with the things that are there. All you have to do is turn it on.
It's like they don't know about it because it's
that's
not
exactly it. Yeah,
it's not visible.
Right, exactly. And so, the more I can get the word out about these built-in features, and I always tell people, and I'll tell everybody who's watching us or listening, I'll challenge you. You have to tell at least one other person about this stuff. You have to. We have to get the word out about these features. I'm okay with coming on these things all the time to talk about it, but I wish other people would talk about them too. So that's my soapbox moment.
This
it is.
is what we're doing. We're
All
we're
right.
getting the word out there.
Well, here we go. Let me share my screen and we'll go from there. We'll get the word out.
Let's do it, Mike.
All right. So let me go here, even though it's kind of the behind the scenes. That's okay. I'm just looking for something to open. This is the form that Kim sent me to fill out before I got here tonight. But I'll leave this open just for a second, just so that I can see. I mentioned this idea of built-in features that are accessibility features. And so with that said, I'm going to push that to the side for a second. And the first feature I want to talk about is actually becoming one of my favorites. And it's built right into the Chrome browser. And it's the ability to create colored tabs and group open pages underneath them for organization.
Okay, here we go. I got to get my notebook out.
Oh, Kim, you got to do. Kim, next time I see you, I feel like you're going to have all these colors across the top of your screen. That's
all right.
I
always
learned this from one of
Mike. This is awesome.
I learned this from one of my friends that showed it in a session, and I was like, "Why am I not doing that? That is the greatest thing ever." And it's all about organization, right? If you're like me, maybe you are. Hopefully, you're not, but maybe you are. You like to have a bunch of things open at once. I'm notorious for having, here, I'll open all of these just so you get kind of a sense of how many tabs I did have open. And these have been cleaned up for the day. But what about for all these open tabs? And I know a lot of times when I open a bunch of tabs, it's directly related to something I'm about to do. Like I was going to talk with Kim tonight, and I opened up a bunch of tabs so that I could get to them. Anytime you have a tab open, I'll go over here to this YouTube tab. So here's our town hall we did today. We host a weekly town hall where people that do assistive technology get together and chat. If I want to add this to a group, now that the tab is open, if you right click on the tab, the second one down says add it to a group. Now it sees that I already have groups together, so maybe I want to put it in there. Or maybe I just want to create a new group. And I'm going to name this group YouTube. And I'm going to use the color green. And when I hit enter, it's now grouped that under that tab for YouTube. And now I can open up other videos and drop them in there. So now I can organize things. Here's our tabs for tonight when I'm talking to Kim. Here's some mic tabs. That's just everything that I leave open for myself. Other things for an activity I'm working on for a conference. There's all of the links. They're all hidden under that tab. Now I can start to organize, and my screen is not cluttered. So suddenly I have this ability to kind of organize and refine all of the tabs that are open and make it easier for me to navigate through.
Now, is that just for your sitting session, or do those tabs stay every time you log out and log back in? Like, is that just for one setting?
Yeah, that's a good question. It seems like, and maybe someone out there has played with it deeper than me, and if they have, I'd love to hear it. It seems like it's for that one sitting, because if I close the window, they're going to be gone.
Okay.
And I also found I'm a big fan of One Tab. If you've ever used that extension, where
that's what it reminds me of. One Tab.
It's very close to One Tab, right? The difference between this and One Tab is, though, you think about One Tab, it gives you just the big long list. This allows you to actually chunk it and color code it so you can only open these couple at a time and leave everything else collapsed. Kind of cool.
That's an interesting way to looking at it. I mean, I guess it would be, I'm thinking about like pin and tabs, when you pin a tab, like, so, and that they open up all the time when you go into Chrome. So this would be something that the student would have to do all the time when they go in and out.
Yeah. And like I said, so maybe someone knows. I hope.
What's that?
Maybe someone else knows and they've played with this deeper.
Yeah.
I'm notorious for not closing tabs ever and not closing my computer ever. So I don't know. These tabs might stay open forever.
I'm going to play around with it and see. Yeah. Like, I don't really go in there. I just pin my tab, or I duplicate my tab, and that's it. I don't really. But yeah, look, add to new group. Look at
Yeah.
that. Never
And what's
never
really cool
noticed.
is that as you're creating, like what I'll do is if I'm working on multiple projects, I'll just leave all those tabs closed underneath the heading. And then as I move throughout the day, I'm like, oh, I'm going to work on this now, and I'll expand them out and I'll work on it a little. Then I'll collapse them over and I'll go to the next task I'm going to do for the day. I could almost see students using it the same way, right?
Yeah.
Those tabs could be color coded and they could be assigned to a class they have to take, and it's all of their
Yeah.
work open for that class.
Yeah, I do like that. I mean, even a project within the class,
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. A nice research project and just drop all the tabs under there so you could go back to them later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, Mike. See, I
I'm not
within
taking
within
credit for that one. I learned that one
oh,
from one of my friends. So that was,
that's okay.
that's
That's
okay. I'll share it with you guys.
that's okay. I mean, look, within 5 minutes, I already learned something new. So,
Exactly. Right. So that's one of those features I would almost call an accessibility feature, but not really, but yes, it kind of is, right? Because it's not identified as an accessibility feature. It's just a productivity tool within Chrome itself. Now we'll talk about accessibility features, and this goes back to my statement in the Chrome operating system. If you haven't dug into your accessibility settings, you are missing a ton of stuff. And so right away, the first thing I like to point out is when you pop up your system menu, do you see the accessibility heading there? Like of mine right now, the accessibility heading is right there when I pop it up. A lot of times people have to go into the settings in order to get to accessibility, right? How many times do we say, oh, we have to turn on one of the features? Well, I go to settings and I pop open that window, and then I go to advanced, and then I scroll down to accessibility, and there I am. I can get into my accessibility features. There's that one little button here at the top, though. Always show accessibility options in the system menu. If I click that, no longer do I have to go into the settings to get to my accessibility anymore. I can simply go down to the time, click down there in the system tray, and there's accessibility. I click on it, and there they all are in a row, and I can just turn them on and off. This is huge because most times in a school, we don't want the students in the settings, right? How many times do we see the students are not allowed in the settings, which is fine. I get that. But talking to the tech departments, it might be an opportunity to have a discussion about, yes, we should keep them out of the settings, but can we go in for their user group and turn on that little switch so that everybody sees this accessibility icon when they log in? And now they don't need to be in settings. There's no reason to be.
right.
Because now they can get to everything.
Yeah, I find that shortcut is so helpful because sometimes like I have to search, I do the little search and then it comes up. But when I have the shortcut enabled and it's on there, I go right to where I need to go, turn it on, turn it off, and I'm good. Like it's so easy to do that. So
it is. And a lot of times people are using those features exactly like you described. They're going to use them for a specific task and they're going to want to turn them right back off.
Yeah.
And so that ability to go in there real fast and just flip it on, flip it off is really ideal. Now there's other ones you might leave on forever. Like the text to speech, which is called select to speak. You might just leave that on. You might leave on dictation. Those are two of the most powerful ones right now, where the idea of having text read to me, which is called select to speak, and then me dictating text, which is their dictation feature. Kind of interesting because these features have been refined over the past many versions of Chrome, but they've gotten to a really nice point to where if you look at some of the things like the select to speak, once I've turned it on, it gives me a little icon at the bottom of the screen, which is a little speaker. I click that to turn it on, and now I go up into my text and I highlight. So I've just dragged my mouse over that and created a box. And when I release it, it's going to read to me. Now, you guys probably won't hear it because I have a headset on right now, but I will tell you it is working. but I don't think you guys are hearing it because I don't have the sound coming out of the speakers. But the idea is that now my students can have that text-to-speech support. If you notice, not only do I have sound, which I guess at this point you have to take my word for it,
Yeah.
but you also have highlighting as it goes. When we think about the supports and kind of the features that really help readers, it is that ability to have the audio support, but also the visual highlight that happens simultaneously to give me that kind of dual sensory support there, the visual and the auditory at the same time, which becomes really critical to help some of the students read.
And I like that the student has the control over what it should read. So like highlight in it, or
Exactly.
click and drag and create the area that they want to hear read to them, because sometimes they don't want to read. They don't need to hear the entire page. So just selecting
Exactly.
that area is a great feature as well.
Yeah, and that flip side of it, Kim, exactly. They might only want to hear a certain part, but the flip side of that is they might want to hear that part 5 or 6 times.
True. Yeah.
And that's okay too. You know,
Yeah.
it's flexible and it allows you to control how you move forward through it, which I think is huge. And again, as a built-in feature, it's very powerful. As long as the text on the screen is accessible, and by accessible I mean it's web text on a website, in docs and things like that, and even in Google Slides. The one thing it struggles with is an inaccessible PDF or some of our electronic textbooks. It struggles with a little bit, and that's less about the feature and more about the way that material has been designed.
The way it was formatted. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So if these things started inaccessible, these features are not going to be able to interact with them because it's basically being blocked from
Right.
access. So that's the select to speak. The other one that I mentioned before is the dictation. Now, of course, we all know, and maybe I shouldn't say we all know, but I'm pretty sure we all know. If I go into Google Docs and I click on tools, I have voice typing. And now I can dictate into Google Docs. I can dictate into slides down in that bottom part in the notes. That's all great. That's all great. But what if I want to dictate into something like a Padlet? I can't use voice typing at this point. I could, in theory, dictate into a Google Doc, copy and paste it into here, which is definitely doable. One of the struggles might be that student that struggles with multiple steps of a process. That might just be too many steps for them to be successful, which makes sense if that's where the student struggles. But now with the dictation, it is system-wide. I can go anywhere. I can go in this Padlet. I click in here with my cursor to ready to write. And now just by using the microphone icon at the bottom, I can dictate anything I want to say anywhere on the screen, as long as my cursor will appear in that box.
So the cursor has to be in some type of text box or
that's the only thing, is that you have to make sure that wherever you're trying to write, it allows you to write. Right. So you see a cursor appear. You go to a Google form and you click in the box and you see the cursor appear. Great. Then you can do it. Any web-based form, as long as your cursor shows up, simply hit the dictation and drop stuff in there.
That's a good, I'm glad that you brought that up, because, you went over the difference between voice typing in Google Docs versus dictation in the Chrome OS. And it's a huge difference.
It's huge.
And it's major. So, if you're definitely looking for some type of dictation tool, I would definitely recommend using the tool in the OS. Why would you use the voice typing in Google Docs?
Especially if you're not going to be in Google Docs.
Right.
If Google Docs is where you're ultimately going to end up, well, then that's fine then. I mean, it's
but then you have to tell it the punctuation and everything. Do you still have to do that in the dictation tool as well?
Yeah, you should still do that. And that's just kind of a best practice to just kind of get into the habit of telling the computer what you want it to do.
And it recognizes the word period, comma. Okay.
It's basically the same speech engine that is voice typing. It's
Okay.
basically the same
It's the
thing.
same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just you're getting to it differently. The one thing that's different about dictation, which is that system-wide dictation, what happens is when the system detects a pause, so when it hears you pause, it shuts the microphone off, which is different from voice typing. If you think about voice typing, I can turn that on, and as soon as I turn it on, I'm just going to totally mess up my document here, Kim. Once I turn that on, it's going to stay on. Even
Yeah,
when I
until
stop
you turn it
talking,
off.
it stays on until I click it to turn it off. Dictation is different because it's at a system level. The people at Google have that concern of, if the mic stays on, is it going to send information to some page you don't want it to? Or is it going to collect information that you weren't expecting to have
Right.
recorded somewhere? And so with the dictation on the system-wide dictation, it turns off after it detects that pause. And it's maybe a second, maybe a little bit more, but as soon as it detects that pause, you'll hear it will make a tone. It'll give you a sound that tells you the microphone turned off. So if your students are using that, you just have to give them a heads up. Listen for that tone, or look at the microphone. If you look at the bottom microphone, I turned it on and it's white. And then when it turns off, it went back to an outline with the black filling. So there's also a visual cue that the microphone is on or off. So they just have to kind of be aware of that as they go.
Okay. Yeah, but you know what? It's if they need to use these tools, they're gonna learn them really quick.
Yeah,
And,
without a doubt.
yeah. So I mean, the teacher just has to expose the student to them, and then the student will just, unless the student is, an elementary, younger elementary, then that's different. But for the most part, upper elementary, middle school, high school, you just show them where the tools are, and they're gonna be using them proficiently.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
Because really, you're exactly right. Because once they've learned the strategies of how to write, this use of that tool becomes relatively straightforward. And I also like to remind people that you can still use your keyboard while you're dictating. We mentioned before, we were talking about that idea of adding punctuation. There's nothing that says I can't dictate text and hit the punctuation on my keyboard to insert it.
Well,
Right? So
that's
you
true.
can
I didn't think of it in that respect.
you
Yeah,
can still use all of your keyboard. And in fact, what I find for some students is they will use dictation for initial writing and then finish on the keyboard. They'll just sit quietly and finish on the keyboard, or vice versa. And again, that's fine. I'm
yeah,
of the belief whatever works for you. And if that's working for you, great. That's
yeah.
fine.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would like in my thinking, because I'm just so like, I don't know, I think one track and that's it. Um, I would do the voice type in, and then go back in, and then add and edit and do my modifications. I wouldn't do it necessarily in between, because then I'm losing my train of thought, So I mean,
Yeah.
but everybody's different.
Exactly. I think that's the perfect kind of end to that sentence. Exactly. Is that everybody's different. And I like that idea of being flexible with how you use the tool.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
we don't have to be so rigid and say you can only use this to dictate and then that's it. No, you can do any way you want, any way
Right.
that works for you. Using that those features in the best way for you. Everybody's going to use it a little different.
Yeah,
All
totally.
right.
Yeah, totally.
Couple other things on my list, and I'm watching my time, and I'm doing a heck of a good job. I feel pretty good about getting done in the time I had. The one thing I wanted to talk about was captions, and captions have become kind of a big discussion point, because with us moving to these hybrid learning or virtual learning or some mix of whatever it might be, we're relying a lot more on content that maybe teachers are developing and recording and then sharing with students. or maybe they're bringing more content in from other places on the web in order to be engaging or just kind of change up the delivery of materials. With that said, captions has to be a priority now. And what's really nice in the Chromebook now, there is a function that you can turn on in the accessibility called live caption. And then every time a video plays, so basically I opened up a video in my Google Drive and I opened it in the preview view just so that we could see it. I have live captions on right now. So anytime the system detects sound from this video, and of course I shouldn't have paused it. Maybe I should have only paused it and not stopped it. And so now, Kim, you know what? I just realized what it's doing. And because it doesn't hear it out loud, it's not picking it up. Wait a second. Hold on, I'm going to unplug for a second. Kim, be ready.
Okay,
Maybe
go ahead.
a little. Oh, I'm so mad that it's not working. Why is it not working? Now I could I think I jinxed myself by saying I was right on track.
That's okay.
I totally jinxed myself. All right. Kim knows me, and I'm not going to stop until I figure it out.
I made you put on your earbuds in the beginning because I was echoing, so I probably threw you for a loop there.
Let's see. It is on. That's weird. All right. Well, I'll try it again. Maybe it's because we're in this recording session. I don't know why it's not seeing that. But basically, the live captions, if that's on, anytime a video starts playing or an audio clip, it's going to automatically show you a box with the captions, and they will be auto-populated. It's going to use the auto feature of basically the speech recognition feature of Chrome to do that. I'm going to refresh this and see if it helps. So it's the same feature that we use when you open up the captions in Google Slides.
Okay.
But it's doing it just over media content that's already been created.
Is that new?
It is new, yeah.
Because I don't remember seeing that or hearing about it recently.
Yeah, so it is new, and so that's part of your built-in accessibility now. If you're looking at if you're using Chrome on another platform,
there it goes.
There it's working.
Yep. You just had to refresh, Mike.
Yeah. So what you guys are seeing is the caption. I'm hearing it in my headphones as it plays. But now, all that is doing is because I was floated over that with my cursor, it activated the live caption, and that's just going to keep playing.
And I like, and so let's just clarify something, because I see what you're doing,
yeah.
But I just want to clarify it for the viewers that you're not viewing or you're not playing a video from YouTube. This video is from your Google Drive.
Correct. This is my video. Yes, this is, and that's why I purposely opened up a video in my Google Drive. So it is not technically captioned. This one is captioned because I ran the Google Slides caption in it, but this is picking up just the captions from the sound as it's playing. And it could do this for anything. If I was really bold, I would go into Twitter, but I'm afraid of what kind of video might pop up. But if you have Twitter on, if you're in Twitter and you have this feature on, as you scroll through your timeline, if a video is there, it'll just automatically start playing the captions underneath it as it plays. So anywhere you go, any video, if you're in a digital textbook that has a video component, it'll just automatically start playing the captions.
And you said audio too? It does it with audio?
Audio too. So anything that it hears or anything that's producing sound.
Okay.
It's going to add those captions over it.
Wow, that
really cool.
I didn't know that was part of the OS. That's something new to me. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, it's part of the OS, and if you go into your accessibility settings, you can't get that from the drop-down menu. But if you're in accessibility in settings and you scroll down, there is a captions part now, and here it is, live captions. And you can turn that on, and you can also customize what those captions look like. Size, font, color, how opaque it is. So you can adjust all of that. And these are settings just like accessibility settings. They are tied not to the Chromebook, but they are tied to your user profile. So anytime you log into another device in Chrome, those settings will follow you.
Wow, this is awesome. I can't believe that it even lets you pick your font, your color,
Yeah, so it allows you to change all of that. You can pick and
size.
choose whatever you want. Yep.
Wow.
So that's in the Chrome OS. That's under audio and captions. If you're doing Chrome on a PC or a Mac, if you go into the browser and you go into the experimental features, those are the flags. If you've ever heard someone talk about the flags, those are the Chrome experimental features that are not, they're like beta features, basically. You can do a search for live captions and turn that on, and you'll have the same feature anywhere in the Chrome browser you go, even on a PC or a Mac.
Okay.
So there you go. It's on that.
So wait, so go back into your accessibility menu for a second.
Okay.
I am in my accessibility settings right now.
Yeah.
And
you don't see it.
I don't see it.
So now I'll tie this one to the last thing I wanted to show and tell you, make sure your Chrome is updated. And
it's weird. I see captions.
Yeah. You have captions at the bottom. Do you have live caption?
No, it doesn't say live caption. It says caption preferences. So my Chrome OS must not be updated.
Yeah, so I would go in and Chrome your Chrome OS and see if it's updated, because this feature is relatively new. And the last feature I wanted to talk about, which is switch access, is brand new. And so that's a physical access thing. That switch access needs Chrome version 87, which is the brand new update that just rolled out.
What's it called again? Switch?
Yeah, switch access. So what it allows you to do, let me close this one so you can see it. I'll go into my accessibility settings. So I pop that open, and I'm going to go to switch access. And what I'll do is it should open up automatically. There it is. Switch access will allow me to control and navigate around the screen without using the mouse. And this would be for someone with some physical access needs. And if you watch it right now, it's auto scanning, which is super cool. This is really cool. When you're looking for access strategies for people with pretty significant physical disabilities, we look to have switch access, where now what Chrome is doing is it's scrolling automatically through every portion of this page I can click on. And it's doing that by itself. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
If I change, if you notice, there's 3 assignments here I can choose: select, next, and previous. Let me turn off the auto scan for a second, just so that we can talk about it. We have 3 functions we can do. So if I hit select, I can either plug an external switch into this, either Bluetooth or physically plug a switch in with an interface box, and I can control these functions, or I can choose these keys on my computer. Maybe it's the space bar. So now I'll hit select and I'll make it the space bar right now. And now when I turn on the auto scan, it's going to go through again. And when it gets to the item I want to change, if I hit the space bar, it's going to select it. So now it selected it because I hit the button, and now it's saying, do you want to go backwards? Because I hit the back button. But
Okay.
now let me get it to go down a little further.
So it makes it easier for the user to use the keys.
Right. Right.
They
It
don't have
allows me to navigate around without having to use the trackpad or a mouse or even the keyboard, because really all I need is this one key.
This one key, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
And as soon as I hit that one key, look, it's going through these choices and saying to me, what do you want to do? Select this, scroll down, or hit additional settings. And that's all from me hitting the space key right now.
Space bar, right? Yeah.
This is super cool. And this is brand new. And I love this feature because we do have many students that I work with, many students who use switches or some kind of alternate access, and Chromebooks had been inaccessible to them. They couldn't use a Chromebook because they couldn't navigate around. And now with this feature set up, they can now move through items on the screen and select as they go. And just
Now,
have
let
that
me ask you this. So would this be, okay, well, two things. One, will it read what it's scanning so that the student knows when to hit the space bar?
Such a good question. It does not do that yet. That is such a good question. When the minute you're looking at this the same way I do, the minute I get a feature, I'm automatically looking about the things I wish it had.
Okay.
And that's called auditory scanning, right? So that as it moved through, it would be announcing to me, select,
Right.
next, previous, auto scan. And then I hear that and I see it and I select it. It does not do that yet, but I'm adding in a yet there because I feel like that's probably soon.
But you can use the Chrome box, right? For that?
You could. I guess Chrome, and I'm afraid to turn Chromevox on now while we're doing the live event.
Yeah.
I'm afraid it's going to bomb out my system. But Chromevox would give you some audio cues. I'm wondering if it would do that as like an auditory scan as it goes through. And that gives me something to play with when we're done. As I'm sitting here, I might turn it on and see what it does to my computer.
All right.
Because ideally, really, when you think about it, what the switch access is doing right now, it's tab keying through everything.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of a tab key, which is the equivalent of what you get with Chromevox. As it moves through, you can tab key through and it announces. So
Well, you let me know.
I will. I'll play with that as soon as we're done and see what it does.
Let me know. And then my second question, now I think I'm going to try to remember.
Yeah.
That was my first one. Oh, I lost it. Oh, here we go. Would this be something like, so when you say like a switch, are you talking like an external device? So like if a student was blind and had like a braille, some type of braille machine, or because like I had a blind student last year and he had to have a laptop, traditional laptop. And then he plugged in his device into the machine, into the laptop, and then he was able to type in Microsoft Word. So he used his machine and everything that he typed came up, not in Braille, but in English in the document. So when you talk about an external device, is that something that that you would be using that with?
It's kind of the same. That student, it sounds like he was using like a Braille display. So using something that had Braille that would allow him to access it and input information, which would then be converted into the letters on the keyboard. I'm talking about, think about your light switch in your house. It's a simple device that off and on, off and on, off and on. There are switches that people use to drive wheelchairs, maneuver through communication devices, turn on environmental devices like lights and things like that. And they are basically replicating a single push.
Okay.
So think about a mouse click, right? That's a push. That's a single switch.
Okay.
And so you're doing that on an external device. Some are large, some are small, some are in different spots. Somebody with a physical disability might have one on a headrest that they click and it moves them through functions on a wheelchair, perhaps.
Okay. Okay.
So some kind of selection tool.
Okay. All right.
And those can be Bluetooth. I wasn't sure
what you meant when you said that. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I think that's good. And it could be Bluetooth, so it can be wireless, or it can be connected in physically with an adapter.
Okay. Wow. This is, like I said, Mike, every time I talk to you, I learn something new all the time.
I'm with you. That's so exciting. That's good. Oh, and look, my switch access is on. So now let's see if it, okay, here we go. Turn it off.
She's all excited.
I am all excited. Now I got to figure, because I've never turned it on while I was doing something live. So I figured what could go wrong? Okay, there we go.
Nothing, right?
Nothing. That's perfect. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I see my time. There we go. And that was everything off my list that I wanted to talk about.
Oh my gosh, that was a great, I have my list here too going. See that?
Perfect.
I have my paper. I'll be sharing out what I learned. But you know what? One thing that I did want to mention was that I learned from you the last time that we connected through GAG, New Jersey, was the closed captioning trick through Google Slides.
Yes, I said I was going to show that, and then I didn't.
That is the most brilliant hack.
It
And
is.
I know you had said before, you can't take credit for it, but
No, I
I'm
can't.
giving
This
you
is
credit because you're giving me knowledge. Like I shared that with so many people, and they were just totally like blown away, like how I was. It
it's the
was
greatest
great.
thing. It's great.
It
And
was
and so basically, and I think it showed in that
It
video
did
too.
show it. It did.
Yeah.
I saw it on top of your screen.
Yeah. And so what you end up doing is just basically layering two separate Chrome windows.
Yeah.
And you have a full screen in the back where you run the captions, and then you position the window that you're working in front of it and just spread it out so that all that shows up is the line of caption. And now you can navigate around in that bottom window and the captions will keep playing. Just
And it's
awesome.
nice because like some people were like, "Well, why would you do that?" Well, because the captions are up at the top. You could, that's one thing that's great. You don't have to look at the bottom. And then I thought there was something in there as well that you can make the background darker.
Well,
Um,
and the other part too, if you think about it, Kim, with the captions along the top in that strip, if I'm in the bottom, I can go to any tab and I can move around and the captions are always playing.
yeah.
People will normally think, well, I'm going to turn the captions on Google Slides, which is great until you click to another tab to show something
And
else, and then the captions are gone.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't have it anymore. So this idea of that strip is so
Yeah,
critical.
I really like that did it for me the last time that we connected. That was great. And then you just gave a whole new set of tools for me to play with. So I appreciate you being on and sharing, Mike.
Happy as always.
You're a
Pleasure.
bundle of knowledge.
I'm a bundle of something. I'll take knowledge for right now. That's fine.
Well, that concludes the show for tonight. I'm so thankful that you came on and shared with the Sweet Talk audience. It was great connecting with you, Mike. It's always fun. I always learn something new, and I'm not, ashamed to say that because that's what we're all here to do is learn from each other and pay it forward. So what I'm going to do really quick is share my screen and we'll wrap up the show. Just let me know if you can see my screen, okay? Do you see my website?
Yes.
Okay, so if you'd like to visit the Sweet Talk, you can go to my website at thesweettalk.com. On the homepage, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. My podcast is on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and you can also subscribe to my newsletter. The latest episode will be right here. So if you missed it tonight, you can always tune in and watch it and listen to it on the podcast. Stepping Up to Google Classroom is a new book that Alice Keeler and I wrote. And this month, I'm giving away 4 copies of it because I'm celebrating my 3rd year of the Sweet Talk. One book each week. So if you want to get into this contest, all you have to do is subscribe on my YouTube channel, subscribe to the newsletter, and then just let me know. You can tweet me or put it in the Facebook Sweet Talk group that you subscribed. You can support my mission and help me pay it forward by becoming a sponsor. And if you would like to be a guest on my show, you can fill out this guest inquiry form. Right now, I'm scheduling for May. So I'm really thankful for that. So it's really been a lot of fun for me to do the show, and I'm so glad that I'm going every week and just chugging away, one week at a time, one guest at a time. And it's nice to feel the love from everybody. So I just want to give back and hope that it can help pay it forward with giving away my book. So, well, that concludes the show. So thank you again, Mike, for being on. It's always great to connect with a fellow New Jerseyan.
I agree, 100%. I will always say yes to a fellow New Jerseyan.
Always. We all
Always.
have to be together. All right, everyone. Until next time, have a great evening.
Thanks.
Bye.